traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are those of imagination. Your next stop, the Twilight Zone.
Mr. Chambers. Mr. Chambers.
Now.
It is a mealtime. Repeat, mealtime.
How exciting.
Kindly state your preference, please.
I really think I can.
We have a full menu on board, suitable for human consumption. It has been designed to meet your dietary needs.
I don't have an appetite.
That does not compute, Mr. Chambers.
I said I am not hungry, all right, ship?
Very well.
I'll let you know when.
Safety alert.
Oh, it's just a cigarette.
Please extinguish all smoking materials at once. Please extinguish.
Okay.
Deposit in appropriate receptacles. This is a mandatory safety measure.
I heard you.
Thank you for your cooperation.
This is going to be a long trip.
It is for your own good. Cigarettes are harmful.
Yes.
They are extremely hazardous to your health.
And traveling through outer space, that's not.
I
Comparisons
feel like
are
smoking
relative.
in space would be a
that-
bad idea.
Please define your frame of reference.
Well, here's a reference for you. The moon.
Which moon?
Anyone will do. As in, why don't you go take a flying jump at it?
Kindly repeat.
Get it?
You do not care for food at this time.
I already said that.
You do not care.
Yes, I do not care for food at this
Shut the
time.
fuck up!
Very well.
Very well, very well. Oh, man.
Please refrain from striking the walls of your sleep module.
How do you expect me to sleep if you won't stop talking?
We only seek assurance that your needs are being met. Your well-being is our primary concern. Please conserve water.
Man's got a right to wash his face in the field.
Mr. Chambers, your trip requires the careful use of life-sustaining resources. Please conserve the water supply.
Is that mute button?
I'm going to lie down now. Try and catch some shut-up. Nothing else to do.
As you wish.
Bet he doesn't have the library for the other
Wait.
guy.
You there, ship?
Yes,
What time is it?
It's that
your
time.
question is meaningless.
Why?
There is no time and space.
Look, I only want to know.
This is to say, there is no chronology that can be calibrated without a reference point.
What?
Makes
Or
sense.
can you tell me that without an exercise in Euclidean geometry? Just tell me what the time is back home.
What is the location of back home?
New York City.
There you go.
In New York City, it would be 12 noon.
Book it.
I do not understand your request. Please rephrase.
Leave me alone now.
You wish solitude.
I wish you'd shut the fuck
Yes,
up.
I wish solitude.
Very well.
And no need, by the way. Guess I gotta start working on this other house.
Respectfully submitted for your perusal, one Mike Chambers, linguist and cryptographer, formerly attached to the Pentagon. A highly educated individual who can break any code and decipher any language, at least on Earth. A man who shook hands, figuratively speaking, with a modern-day Christopher Columbus from another world. The height of this creature, a little over 9 feet, give or take a few millimeters. Weight, in the neighborhood of 350 pounds. Origin, unknown. No clue.
It's a huge, like, amusement park over to the left there. I don't know if the camera sees it, but it's massive. Keep seeing some pretty decent looking amusement parks. Chicago's got 6 flags. There's that. That's weird. That's out. Something. target to buffet. Interesting.
Well now, therein lies the tale. And it's no ordinary one. You best hear the story from Mr. Chambers himself. Just remember, you're not on the Earth anymore. You're traveling at something close to light speed on a journey that will take you directly through the Twilight Zone.
Eastbound now.
And now,
Oh, sorry.
The Twilight Zone, and our story, To Serve Man, starring Blair Underwood, with Stacy Keach as your narrator. As best we can, beginning with the smallest bits, the ones that are easy to process. So, if it's 12 o'clock noon back home, the only home you've ever known, that's what occupies your mind. You don't think about side wheel time, when it will be 12 o'clock the next day, the day after that. We live in the moment. But that's precisely what we should have been thinking of. All of us. Tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. We were preoccupied with the hands-on clock. Well, we could have checked off the days on a calendar, one by one, and appreciated all that we had while there was still time. It started on an April day. It was noon then, too. And people walked and drove and bought and sold and fretted and laughed as they have always done. The world went on much as it had, with a tentative tiptoeing along the precipice of crisis. There was the economy to worry about, and wars, and the Middle East, and all the other myriad problems, major and minor, that had been with us for years, but they had somehow begun to lose their edge. I suppose because we had grown so accustomed to them. And that's when it happened.
Mommy, what's that? I don't know.
Something flying over in the sky. It must be an airplane.
But it's so bright. I know what it is. It's a flying saucer.
Oh, it can't be.
Look, it is.
That's when we first heard they had come. And that's when we should have prepared ourselves, but we didn't. Instead, we milled around like farm animals, worried only about our creature comforts, while the Secretary General of the United Nations made the first official announcement. I watched that broadcast, the same as you did, live from the lobby of the UN in New York City. It came from the lobby, not the General Assembly. That rather large auditorium was empty, not due to a long lunch hour or an ambassadorial walkout or even the end of the world. The representatives of all nations were at that moment watching their television sets and listening to their radios, much as were their peoples around the world. For, as it turned out, this would be a rather momentous afternoon.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, is this thing on? If you could move back, please, the Secretary General will answer all your questions. Move in.
Mr. Secretary, if we can have a shot of you.
Look at the cameras, please.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention?
Quiet, please.
No questions just yet. I have a prepared statement. I say I have a prepared statement. Would you give me your attention, please?
No! Shut up!
I'll read it now, if I may. Ladies and gentlemen, I should like to recapitulate the events of the past 11 days. On the 14th of March, shortwave broadcasts were received in the principal capitals of the world. It was established that these transmissions did not originate on Earth. Rather, their origin was extraterrestrial.
The first messages were merely announcements that there would soon be multiple landings at various points around the globe. We were assured that these landings would be peaceful and that there was no cause for alarm. Nevertheless, United Nations forces were put on alert. As you know, these broadcasts continued to grow in strength for several days.
Is it true that they've landed? Please, no questions yet.
At 11 this morning, Eastern Standard Time, the first landing took place in an area outside Newark, New Jersey.
Would be Jersey.
We have subsequent reports of additional landings in Russia, Norway, the southern coast of France, Rio de Janeiro, and several other locations. It is the position of the United Nations that it would be premature to assume hostile intent. Our recommendation is that the world's countries remain calm and make no show of force. All governments are being apprised of these events as they develop. The current situation at present is therefore...
What do they look like? Yeah, what do they look like? Are they human? Or are they little green men?
What do they want here anyway?
As of this moment, we do not know who they are or the purpose of their arrival. We know only that several of their craft have touched down and that